Every political prime minister or president is appointed to that position and given the nod long, long before the public even hear their names. They're vetted throughout their life for their position. The advisors are more important than presidents. They work for the real bosses. They know the world agenda. The advisors are in cahoots with advisors across the planet. If you notice, they're all advising their prime ministers or presidents to do the same things and sign the same things at the same time. They're the grey men. They work between the physical realm, the ones that we see, and the dark side, you might say, the ones that don't become visible to the public, the real powers that be. So the dominant minority and their descendants down through the ages run the system. Based on what? Based on money. Based on money. Something that everyone on the planet uses. And because it's there, we think it's normal, even though none of us can tell who or why the banking families, the big international bankers, have the right to even decide what money is. Should we even use money in the first place? What is money, apart from an idea? And if there was no money, is there any other way of living? The elite have already figured that out, because the next phase we have to go through is electronic banking and purchasing. But there would be no other forms of money at all, except electronic blips on your card and on a screen. Everything would be tracked and traced. But that's only part way, because they've even worked it out that after that's over and done with, in the new society, the Huxleyan world, which will eventually, down the road, come into existence, everyone will be reared and probably special purpose made. ID is not just your identification. ID is intelligent design, you see. They want to intelligently design you for your purpose, and you will serve the state. You won't need money. You probably won't have the capacity to imagine or even discuss what money is, because you'll be more like an efficient robot than a person. This is where ultimately they will go. The cashless system is only a partway measure, a stepping stone towards it. Everything that happens is a stepping stone to the next step. And we adapt, being the most adaptable creature on the planet. And every child who's born into the next phase thinks it's normal, because it all exists the way it is. There are grandparents alive now who aren't even listened to when they talk about country living, where they had to smash through ice to get water in the winter, and that was normal. That kind of thing is absurd to a child of today. Just a blink in the eye of time, really, difference between them. But it's absurd in an age where you just turn a switch and on comes your heating, your lighting, and everything else. You pay for it, mind you, and it keeps you in the system because you must earn the money to pay for it. And you become more dependent than ever, interdependent on the system, until you will have no independence in any sphere whatsoever, nor any ownership of anything. Something that's taboo in all of the authoritarian dictates of socialism and capitalism, by the way, because capitalism runs socialism. Always did from the beginning. Now, I've taught many, many people over years on different levels of the understanding of all of this, but I only teach the ones who are able to accept the understandings of the higher truths. Those who can't get to higher truths tend to get terribly offended, and they turn on the teacher. And it isn't my fault that you can't understand. It's a choice they've actually made within themselves. They don't hear what you say. Their greed for the idol blinds them to all the gold dust you've scattered before them in the past. They're oblivious of the gems. And that isn't my fault. And people like that you can't take any higher. You can't bring into the deeper truths. And apart from that, not everyone can handle them, because much of the news is not good news, but you have to understand the bad to get beyond it. You have to go through the darkness to see the light. That's always been the way. Always been the way. Those who can only go so far are not ready for it, and possibly they never ever will be ready for it. They're more composites, let's say, of personality, of their training, their culture, their indoctrinations, and their own particular bent of personality type. They're not a truly individual, free person, and you can't teach everyone ultimate truths. They can't handle it. If I was going on blessing Christianity and pushing that, I'd be on many radio stations, as I'm sure the listeners know. It isn't until they find out that I speak out about certain aspects of their religions that I don't get the calls coming in. That's to be expected. It takes a brave person and an honest person to step outside their box and say, well, he's right on this and he's right on that, so I'll have him back. And there aren't too many of those around. Other ones would have me on the New Age shows because they're really blossoming right now. They're getting pushed big time. The mind control of the present to go into the near future. And they already have their gurus prepared, promoted out there for the people to follow, with the usual fatalist stuff involved. Once again, the control freaks with the fatalism. It's in the cards, it's in the stars, it's written here, it's written there. Can't do anything about it. It's fate, you see. And they're already out there and being highly promoted. If I was to go easy on those guys, I'd be on some of the biggest shows, as I'm sure some of the listeners have figured out already. But I tend to try and tell the truth as I perceive it. And I tell the bad news, that the dark side of humanity, the stuff that doesn't make you feel too comfortable. But everyone in this world is what I call a schmeeple. It's a combination of schmuck, sheep, and people. Everyone's been fooled. Everyone born has been fooled into this existence from the beginning by very clever techniques and mass-marketed from the top to the parents as well. And it takes tremendous willpower on the individual, tremendous, almost heartbreaking searching, a hunger to know truth, to bring them through. Most people don't have that. Some are born that way. Others, it will hit later on in life. But a hunger comes upon them. And someone who's hungry, you can tell right away because they will listen more than talk. Someone who's talking is really telling you what they already believe. They're trying to guide your answers into a certain direction which will make them comfortable. That isn't someone who's truly looking for a truth. They're looking for something which makes them comfortable in the condition that they're already in. When society has been steered towards a period of great change, there's always tremendous confusion. There's anger. There's also much misdirection of anger, as we're told what to be angry about. H.G. Wells himself said, many people will die fighting the New World Order, but they'd never know that they're trying to save something which was never theirs. The big boys are updating their system. The changes are underway. They have been all your life. The media simply doesn't harp on about it. They divert you into trivia. They tell you what's important for you. The changes, as I say, are on the way. We're going through them. It's more of a matter of deciding, can it be thwarted in the direction that it's heading? And for maybe the first time, can we actually steer it into another direction? That's what's really important right now. There have always been changes. But the changes have always been directed and planned and steered by the navigators, as they call them, in the high societies. We have to take that direction from them and steer it somewhere else. And truly the battle is between those who want uniformity, standardization, and the occasional individual here and there. We know that those who seek uniformity ultimately always conform to the next part of the system which they at first opposed. Changes are here. They've been singing about them since the 1960s. And you whistle the tunes, sang the words, but you didn't hear.